in the world today. I want to welcome you to an exciting launch that we've got of a book that was probably about 7 years in the making, I'm sure, and more, with the amazing Rory Callahan here, who has got the book called SelfCare. Now, as you can see here, it's got the health blocked out there because it really is about self-care. And when we know that we can be in control of our own health, that's where the power really is. So I know that Rory has had an extraordinary journey to get to today. And I know that it's a very special day that Rory is launching this book. So first of all, welcome, Rory, and tell us about this special day that you have, that you're launching the book.
Hey, Susan, and hello to everyone in the world. It is a special day. It did take 7 years, 8 years. I was kind of like a health professional that burnt out, lost my health, and felt quite incongruent. And then I spent the last 7 years kind of building this, and probably like 3 or 4 years, like through the journey. The first couple of years was just trying to embody it for myself, and I wanted to be a health professional or a lifestyle mentor that kind of walks his talk, and it's hard to do that. When I was going through my own kind of like health cycle and trying to just feel normal again, I was seeing doctors with who were 20 kilos overweight, and they're on the same blood pressure medication they were trying to give me, and saying that I had to be on it for the rest of my life. And that just didn't feel right. And I know a lot of people feel the same. So I had to get to that point of normality and just feeling good again, and not having restrictions and symptoms and signals from the body. And then probably like 2 or 3 years down the track, 4 or 5 years into the journey, this is when I guess I met you, Susan, and Natalie and Monique and Jazz and all the girls, and through Paul Dunn, a good mentor and friend of mine. I guess I realized that I wasn't writing this book for me anymore, and it was always about the people I cared about most. And something that kind of like hit my heart. Like I had this day where I was just kind of like, I was in tears, and because your why when you cry, right? That's the thing. I've done all this self-development work, and I was all the tangibility of like, oh, I want to I want to positively disrupt the healthcare system. Healthcare has become a business and all this jazz, and I was like, that's not it. But when I realized that my mum was going to doctor visit after doctor visit after doctor visit for things she had for 5, 10, 15 years, I realized I was writing it for her. And the people I care about most, my front doorstep, the people they care about most, and their front doorstep. And I just realized that, like, if I can impact the people closest to me, and they can impact the people closest to them, then it's like, that's where the ripple effect of change happens. And it takes a community to raise a child, takes a community to heal the sick. So and when towards the end of the book, it's like the ultimate medicine out of the 12 medicines is connection. Connection is the elixir to longevity. So we see that in all the longevity hotspots, the blue zones. And so in that essence, I wanted to launch it on Mum's birthday, which is today. So she was born in 1944, had me when she was 44 years of age, a bit later in life. And I called her this morning and had a chat with her, and she went, to her credit, she went past all my mates' houses on the weekend and dropped off a copy of the book for them. And it was beautiful, because it's like, I think people underestimate how isolated and disconnected people have been in the pandemic. And, even just that, Mum just dropping past my best friends' houses, proud as punch, just to drop a book off and have a chat with them. It's already had an impact, and that's what the book's about. So yeah, that's it, Susan.
That's exciting. So it's your mum's birthday, and it is so true. Take away all the wealth that you've got in the world, and the one thing that's most important is your health. And we then look at, even, why do we want great health? And it's because of that, being able to connect. I was saying only just to my mother the other day, who's in her 80s, as I took my daughter over there with her daughter, so being my granddaughter, I stopped, and for that moment I just realized, for me, I said, wow, how lucky you are, to my parents, because I realized that they were seeing, like, my granddaughter Zara, when she grows up, she's only 10 months old, when she grows up and has children, that's what my parents were experiencing. And take away everything, to be able to see your children grow, and then your great grandchildren grow, or the generations that you can impact, where you're helping others stick around for their friends or their family or their aunties, uncles, whoever that might be. But it all does boil down to connection. But we need our health to be able to be around, to have those connections with whoever it is, you know, the love of our life, the friends, whoever that is. We've got to be around to be with them. Too many people are leaving this earth a lot sooner, and they're also struggling a lot. So I think this book is definitely something that just covers so many different areas, from health, but like you said, connection. You know, how do we connect more? We've got to have that great health. So I know that you went on your own, you know, self-care journey and realized that, you know, and wrote this book for those people that are really close, you know, to us, you know. But, you know, when someone's going, okay, great, there's a lot of health books out there, why do I need to read this book? What's this book going to be different? Can you tell the listeners here today why you feel this book is that bit different?
I can't tell people why it's going to be different for them, but you know, it's you know, as an example, like I get attracted to like an energy or a vibe or a curiosity, usually because someone mentions something 3 or 4 times. And you know, there's been so many books that have come into my life, and you know, I have conversations with people like, oh, you should read this, oh, you should check this out, oh, you should check that. And you know, like the Tim Ferriss 4-Hour Work Week, like that sat on my desk, you know, when I was working 100 hours a week as a health professional, and it just sat there. You know, I didn't pick it up and read it for 3 or 4 years, but when I did, it just made me realize that, you know, I could live to work and work to live, you know, and I could kind of like shift that paradigm. And I just had to think about things a little bit differently, and I had to step back. You know, I was like, well, I'm burnt out. You know, I haven't been on a surf trip in 5 years. I'm like, I'm just going to check it out. I'm just going to like lean into this book. You know, the timing was right. And then sure enough, there's all these solutions in plain sight. So, you know, as an example, like one chapter is like ancient wisdom for a modern world. And my partner, Ruby, she came to me the other day. She's like, dude, you've basically summarized, you know, the carbon dating of, you know, how old the earth is, you know, the history of humankind, like sapiens, you know, Ayurvedic medicine and traditional Chinese medicine and global blue zones, and you know, like all these core messages from like key cultures over time. She's like, you've done that in one chapter. She's like, it blew my mind. And it's like, but the beauty is because it keeps on bringing it back to one core message, which is a reminder that we've never needed to be fixed. And then it's like, you know, all the messages that, you know, when it becomes more than ourself, it shifts from me to we. It then becomes, you know, a journey of like, well, how can we end suffering for ourselves and for others? And then when the whole vibe shifts, it's like, well, how can we live in like good health and happiness and connection and harmony? And I think that's the thing is like, this book is just positive sum. It's like 1 + 1 = 3. And I believe that, you know, healthcare, you know, it's got us this far, but you know, it's a $47 trillion problem. And since 1970, it's like the burden of chronic preventable disease has gone up. And it's like, to be honest, like my mum grew up in a healthier environment, you know, the technology, the work hours, you know, all that type of stuff. The reason she's got to 80 is because she's probably had that foundation for 30 or 40 years. And I think modern generations, we need to go back and we really need to listen to like indigenous cultures and, you know, cultures that supported the natural life support system without the collateral damage, and realize that, you know, without clean air, clean water, it's like, it's almost impossible to live as healthy organisms, right? And this is a big part of the book as well, which I find is really beautiful, is like, even if you have access to this Zoom, right? If you can listen to this on Facebook, or you can actually pick up the book, you're part of 8% of the world that actually has access to these tools. Now, in the future, you know, 95% of the world will have access to smartphones and, you know, global Wi-Fi with Starlink and that type of stuff. So education should be free. And I want to create an ecosystem that allows people to have access to that. But at the moment, we're part of the 8%. And, you know, I really want to use this as a way to solve a $47 trillion problem in the developed world, and then see if we can start to meet basic human needs in the less developed world. You know, just clean water, safety, security. You know, it's like, if every child had access to clean water, it's like, I think it's diarrheal disease, like it kills nearly like 5 million people a year, you know, maybe more. Type 2 diabetes, 420 million people a year. And it's like, we don't see, in the last 2 years, we haven't seen a headline that says type 2 diabetes is preventable for 420 million people. We've seen, hey, get this test, you know, get this modern intervention, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, there's nothing in that empowers people to help themselves or to help others. It just is like a fear-based rhetoric. So I think the way that this is different is it takes away the fear. It reminds you that you never need to be fixed. And then it just reminds you that the keys have always been in your hand. And, you know, once we get to a space where we get our basic human needs met, health is just a vehicle to create, to manifest, to consciously engineer, to help, to serve, to impact. So it's like once we're not in survival mode with our health, it's like then we can really give something to the world. And you know, my journey is a perfect example. I couldn't help anyone when I couldn't help myself. And you know, my mum's a beautiful example too. She like looked after me and my brother and gave us unconditional love. But man, if she had her basic needs met and we didn't have any debt and all that type of stuff, it's like her ability to impact and help and support more would have just been exponential. And I can see this. We need the nurturers, we need the mums, we need the caregivers of the world to really rise up now. And I just want this book to be a platform for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what I love about it too is, you know, you've got, you know, you cover things like, you know, your spirit, your work, your lifestyle, you know, moving, food, mind. And I think, you know, as you were saying, there's so many elements that make up this you know, this choice and this modality. And we've got there, I think you can see there with some of the, you know, watch there, you know, that's just amazing to be able to bring something together. And what I love is that if there's a particular area that you just want to focus on and you just want to read that particular chapter, it lends itself to giving some really sharp content where, you know, it's grabbing the, you know, like the cream of the crop, the really core information and getting it into a chunkable size. Because I think it's true, you know, we, you know, it's a big book, you know, which is great because, I mean, look at the value that you get. It's phenomenal, the amount of information in here. But it is so great that you can grab a chapter and you can read it and feel that you've just been educated, you know, on such a grand level without having to read maybe 10 books. You've summarized it all in a good chapter. And I think that's really important, especially for people that are now opening their eyes and seeing that there is some other ways of, you know, looking at health and not just relying on the, you know, the professional and the, you know, the prescription to go and put a band-aid on it and fix it. You know, how do we take control of our own, you know, health? But also health isn't just about, you know, exercise. It's about so many different things. You know, you've got tech, environment, nature, you know, connection, and which we touched on earlier. So I think that it's really important for, you know, the listeners to know that it kind of covers so much in this book, and that even if there's a particular area that you want to explore, you know, there's something in it for everybody to really understand the whole lifestyle medicine ecosystem, I think you call it. And I think that's really important. I know that, tell us a little, I mean, this is obviously the self-care book, and we've got the lifestyle medicine ecosystem, which is a little bit of what I showed just then. Tell us a little bit about that. Elaborate a little bit on what more I said.
Yeah, so there's, I've quoted, you know, over, I think, I love the number 1111, right? For whatever reason, we launched on the 11th of November last year, the soft launch, and there's over like 1,111 lifestyle mentors that have been quoted in the book. And, you know, I really want to shine the light on those people. And there's, you know, so many different modalities, from Ayurvedic medicine, treating the whole person, to traditional Chinese medicine and the Tao Te Ching, and, you know, the natural cycles of change, and then modern medicine and the best of that world. And I just want to be clear, this isn't like an anti-modern medicine thing. It's like, you know, my dad had a head injury, and without modern healthcare, he wouldn't be here today. And, you know, I worked in hospitals and I've seen that. But a big part of it is that we can prevent a lot of people from ever ending up in that space and needing critical care. And that's the 95% that is within our control. You know, Deepak Chopra and Dr. Rudy Tanzi, they wrote a book called I Supergenes, and that's something that's there. You know, like even the Human Genome Project, it shows that, like, you know, we're not a victim to our genes. That's just the 5%. The 95% is the lifestyle choices we make. And, you know, one genetic expression, you know, multiplied by 111 different type of genetic expressions by different choices can end up with an infinite amount of possibilities. And it's the reason why you can see someone with no arms, no legs winning a gold medal and swimming in the Paralympics. It's the reason why, you know, half the world's population is afraid of water. You know, it's like there's just things within us that limit us from our true human potential, our human experience. And I guess what I wanted to create is you know, with the SelfCare.global like lifestyle medicine ecosystem, was I realized that not everyone reads, and I wanted this to be accessible to everybody. I am aware that, you know, people will have access to smartphones. Some friends of mine were out in, you know, in Lombok in Indonesia, and you know, like there's a couple of kids that, you know, they lost their jobs. They came back to the local community and they're like, we just want to educate the future children. And they're not even teachers by trade, but they just started teaching the kids. And we were like, whoa, how can we enable them? So like with a bit of Wi-Fi, the Khan Academy, and, you know, a bit of data and a HDMI cord to the TV, they could start teaching these kids basic fundamental things. And I guess like what I wanted to do for the health, well-being, and lifestyle medicine space is create something that could do the same. So, you know, there's 7 different learning styles. Some people are auditory, some people are visual. I'm very much auditory and visual, so I love learning that way. To be honest, I haven't actually read that many books in my life. That's kind of ironic, right? But I listen to podcasts every single day. I read blogs, you know, social media content that like captures my eye. There's some really beautiful people that I tune into, and I surround myself with that positive vibe and consciousness every day. So when I do find myself flicking through my phone, it's like these really beautiful, positive, uplifting messages come in, and they just remind me to often put the phone down and go do something. So I just want to create an ecosystem that enables that, because I believe, you know, everything's a double-edged sword. You know, it can be technology. If you spend more than 2 hours on it, it can decline like your mental health. It can create apathy. It can disconnect from nature and yourselves and others. It can create comparison and all that type of stuff. But if you tune into things like this for like 10 to 15 minutes, then you put it down and then you get on with your life and go for a walk with, you know, your wife, your partner, your dog, or, you know, you take one thing and you just like put that into motion, then it's like a whole different, you know, potential and pathway opens up. So that's what I want the ecosystem to be, is just tune in, tune out, tune in, tune out. And then it's like when you need it and you need to go a bit deeper, there's a whole rabbit hole of things. And the book is kind of like the curation of the consciousness on the very top. And then each of the chapters is like a medicine on the platform. And then we can go deeper and it can adapt and evolve as we adapt and evolve. You know, like we've changed so much since 1970. I just imagine when I'm in my 80s, like my mum, you know, it's going to be very similar fundamental core principles and values, but you know, the way to apply it to our lifestyle is very different. You know, how do we manage, you know, a population of kids that are going to be stuck in artificial intelligence and virtual realities? You know what I mean? Like, you know, do we create Pokemon Go and things like that, like that actually get kids up and moving? So it's like, it's an adaptable matrix. That's the way I see it. And I see it as being, you know, I just want to shine a light on people that are creating solutions. There's enough problems in the world. I don't want to focus on the fact that 7 in 10 people have chronic preventable diseases. I want to focus on the 1% of blue zones, you know, that have already got it figured out. And I just want to let people know about that. And then you take those principles, you apply it to your own community, you know, whether it's Okinawa in Japan, whether it's Hong Kong, whether it's like Loma Linda in California, Costa Rica, there's a community, or Hunza Valley in Pakistan, there's a community just like yours in any context, geographically or culturally, that has figured out the longevity stuff. And to be honest, it's simple. We overcomplicate it. We create all these mental constructs for separation and isolation. And if we just come back to the core things that really matter, then this ecosystem just becomes a reminder that none of us have ever needed to be fixed. And I just want to keep doing that. Everything wants to separate. I just want to keep chunking people back up. You know, even all the religions in the world and the belief systems, they all talk about love and treating each other the way that we could only hope to be treated. So I just want to keep coming back to those core messages, and what people do from there is up to them. And that's it.
Beautiful. Yeah, beautifully said. And I know that you're a real giver as well. And I know, you know, you talked about our great mutual friend, Paul Dunn, who, you know, himself, you know, helps other businesses again to give back. So I know that the book itself has an element of give back. You talked about before, you know, providing water and different things like that. And I know that we've got, you know, planting a tree in the world, you know, there's different impacts inside of the book that the readers are actually doing. So when you as a reader purchase the book, not only are you helping yourself, but you're also helping others. So it's that ripple effect, which I absolutely love. And I know, again, being a massive giver, you've got a special giveaway that we're going to put in the link below that will allow people to one, first of all, you know, purchase the book, get in there, delve in and have a look. Also, another giveaway, a special giveaway that's going to be in the link, and also the giveaway that the book is interactive. And I know the way that you said before, some people are visual, some people are auditory, kinesthetic. How do we get them to actually get involved in the book? And the great thing about the interactive, that it can grow as does the lifestyle medicine ecosystem. So if people do want to read the book on their phone, they can grab the interactive as well, purchase the book, get it in all the different forms. I know for me, I love to hold a book when I'm sitting around by the pool. I like to physically hold a book in my hand. I like to, you know, put a little bookmark in it. But then there's other times if you're traveling on transport, or you're sitting around and you're wanting to travel and not take a book with you, you've got the bonus interactive that you've included for the readers when they purchase the book. And that again allows, you know, Rory, to add all in those links of all these things. So it's an evergreen project that I know is going to grow and grow.
Yeah, and you hit on Paul Dunn, and he's got a mission with Buy One Give One with Masami. And I met them probably 5 or 10 years ago, and they just really inspired me that it could be done. And they've had about 270 million giving impacts, you know, basically linking up with the Sustainable Development Goals. Not everyone aligns with the United Nations and that whole kind of vibe, but the principles of what it stands for, which is like, you know, equality and, you know, making sure kids have access to clean water. You know, it's like we all believe in the same thing. So, you know, I teamed up with them, and you know, the big vision for this ecosystem, this book, is to impact 1 in 8 people. And you know, it sounds like, what's a 34-year-old Aussie, you know, sitting in Bali creating this platform and book? How's he going to help directly or indirectly be part of that? And the truth is it's not about me. It's about all of us. You know, it's like, as an example, Paul connected me with you, and then that connected me with the girls. And then all of a sudden this is out there and it's impacted my friends. There's 10 people, there's 15, 20 people. And if we all do that, and we just kind of like all the mums out there impact their front doorstep, you know, the dads that are working hard to provide safety and security, the mums who are doing the same, you know, that's enough. And if we all just impact our front doorstep, then that's where the ripple effect changes. So I created a giveaway. You just go to selfcare.global/giveaway, and I'm going to give away 11 copies of the book, 11 copies of the course. The course is like, you know, the book is a curation of consciousness. The ecosystem is the expansive consciousness, which anyone can tune into. And then the course like distills it into action-based steps for 8 days. And I think, like I said in one of the videos, like I've worked with nearly 5,000 patients, you know, 10,000 patients, 5,000 athletes. You know, I've created a health and wellness business. I had 50,000 plus customers, and probably worked with 1,000 different entrepreneurs over here in Bali, running entrepreneur retreats and things like that. And one thing that is super common is that they have a heart-centered why, like a clear north, the who and the how, a community that can support them and show them where to look. In a similar way, Paul introduced me to you, and then you had the how of how to get the book out there. And then just create little meaningful goals in our life. You know, some people just want to run 10K, you know, so that, you know, because their mum might have, you know, had breast cancer or something like that. So it's meaningful to them to find something like that to tune into. And so I just want to really help people with that. So the giveaway is just about really acknowledging that. Also in the links, I've given away like the first chapter of the book. I've even given away the first half of the book, because I honestly believe that health is a human right, you know, and I understand the pandemic and money is an issue, but it doesn't need to be. I think for me, money is energy. And every time you do something good for yourself, something good happens in the world. Every time you exchange value, time, energy, share things with us, we create a giving impact. And we want to help Paul and everyone else with, you know, 1 in 8 impacts globally, which is about 1 billion people. You know what I mean? So, but this is my 40-year journey. This is it took me a long time to get here, but you know, if we can start with 10, then 1,000, then, you know, we can play the rule of 0. And then one thing I realized is 1 to many. If we all impact 10 people, we all impact our front doorstep. This ripple effect, you know, goes around the world. And like I said, it's not about me. There's so many beautiful people out there that are already doing this, and I want to collaborate, co-create. I want to shine the light on them, and we just cross-pollinate, and we just have this same common vision together, where we just want our kids to grow up in a world where 7 in 10 people aren't living with chronic preventable diseases. You know, I don't want to see type 2 diabetes being something that's normalized. I don't want to see cancer impacting 1 in 2 people not being normalized because we've built things that the collateral damage of the natural environment, all these toxins get in our body and create cancers. You know, it's like, it's so freaking obvious. we've like wiped out 90% of species since 1970. It's like we're the smartest creature, self-proclaimed on the planet, but we destroy our own life support system. I think that needs to change. And I think the pandemic and whatever happened to pain in the last 2 years is the pivot. And it is the thing where we all wake up and we just make small changes, 1% a day. And then in 12 months, we'll be 37x ahead of where we were. And, if we head due south for too long, we can head back due north. It's going to be a wee game.
Yep, beautiful, amazing. Well, thank you so much. The link will be there for everyone to jump on, purchase a copy, find out more about grab the book, see the impact that it's not only going to make on your life, but to many others around there, with all the giveaways and the impacts that Rory's included in the book. So is there anything else you want to leave the readers with before we sign off, Rory, so that people can jump on and grab this book?
I just want to say thank you to you, Susan, and everyone that's helped me with this journey. It's like I said, I didn't get here alone. I don't think any of us did, and the reason I launched my mum's birthday is because I came to the realization I wouldn't be here without her and my dad, and that was a 1 in 4 trillion chance, so whatever synchronicity or whatever attraction has brought you to this space, just want to say thank you. Just be curious, go explore it. And if anything hits a heart, just share it, and share it because it comes naturally. Share it not because you want to help us sell a book or anything like that. Share it because it could potentially help someone that you care about. And if that's the vibe where it's just people helping people, I've been censored in the pandemic and all this type of stuff. And, that just blows me away. But it's like, what I do understand is the power of people. So I'm going to really rely on the fact that if this does help you, I'm going to need your help to help more people. And this is for you. This is for me. This is for my family. This is for our family. And yeah, I just look forward to having this chat in 10 years time, Susan, and kind of seeing where this ends up.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much, Rory. And again, everyone, grab your book. Like I said, massive value here in every sense of the word. So jump in, grab your copy, and yeah, let's get in there and change our own lives and some people around us, and share what we know is really going to make an impact on multiple levels. So thanks so much, Rory, and enjoy your gorgeous Bali. My backdrop to your backdrop. Mine's green, but through the windows, but I'm sure you're warmer where you are. But yeah, enjoy the beautiful Bali, and I look forward to seeing this book make a massive impact in the world.
Hey, thank you so much, Susan. And thanks to the girls as well. Really appreciate it.
Bye-bye.